Hello friends, I am Satpal Verma here from Government National College, Shirsha. I hope all of you are fit and fine, staying home, and you must be staying positive and testing yourself negative. I have already delivered 2 video lectures on poetic forms and discussed 4 poetic forms, namely sonnet, lyric, elegy, and ode. And in this video lecture, today I'm going to deliver or I'm going to talk about remaining 2 poetic forms, dramatic monologue and free verse. So without wasting any time, let's talk about dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue is made of 2 words, dramatic plus monologue. Dramatic means it is related to drama, and mono means single, that is one, and log means speech. So it is a dramatic speech, but it is single. If we go into its depth, we shall talk about its various features, but before let us define it. A dramatic monologue is a type of lyric poem in which the speaker is directly addressing and talking to some other person. So there is a speaker and he talks to some another person. The speaker speaks alone in a one-way conversation, means like one-way traffic hota hai jis tarah. So he talks in a one-way conversation, and so it is called a monologue. The speaker is found engaged in an emotional expression. He is an emotional mood. The situation or the setting is dramatic, and that is why the poem is called a dramatic monologue. I think everything is quite clear. Let's talk about its features. जो इसके फीचर्स हैं वो इसकी डेफिनेशन के अंदर से ही हैं. यू कैन सी इट्स अ टाइप ऑफ लिरिक पोएम. नंबर 1, there is a single character or speaker who delivers a speech. You can see these points, there is some of the points in the slide as well. The single speaker is patently not the poet. स्पीकर जो है ये है, पोइट नहीं है. कीप इन माइंड, द स्पीच इज डिलीवर्ड और यू कैन से द पोइम इज uttered in a specific situation at a critical moment. Underline it. The situation is, specific. There is a critical moment, and then the speaker addresses and interacts with the silent listener or listeners. Means interlocutor, or you can say there can be a single listener or there can be more than one listener. We come to know of the listeners or the auditor's presence and reactions from the hints given by the speaker during the development of the poem, or you can say during the course of the poem. Through his speech, the speaker reveals his own temperament and character. Keep in mind, it means he reveals himself. It means there is self-revelation, and that is the hallmark of a dramatic monologue. So I think almost all the points are clear, and when you are trying to understand a dramatic monologue, you should ask yourself these questions. What are the questions? What is the situation? The situation should be dramatic. Who is the speaker talking to? Who is the speaker who is talking to? Naturally, there is a single speaker who is talking to himself loudly, and there are silent listeners as well. Is there any silent listener? Ask yourself while reading the dramatic monologue. What tactics, what kind of techniques, what kind of methods is the speaker using to make his point, to make his case, to plead his case? And last but not least is, what do you think about the character of the speaker? Character of the speaker. So these are the questions. If these questions are answered honestly and sincerely, everything will become clear regarding dramatic monologue. Now let's talk about famous dramatic monologues. My Last Duchess. Dear friends, this poem has been prescribed for your study in BA third semester. Andrea del Sarto. Bishop orders his tomb. First three poems have been written by Robert Browning, who is credited to have perfected dramatic monologue. This poetic form means this poetic form has been perfected by Robert Browning. Ulysses, it has been written by Alfred Tennyson. And the last one is the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. It has been written by William Shakespeare. So these are the famous examples, and if we talk about your examples, first see in the slide, it is the picture of My Last Duchess. This poem has been prescribed for your study. And if we talk about notable poets who wrote dramatic monologues, so we have Robert Browning. Its picture is also available. Then we have Robert Frost. It is American poet. Ezra Pound, also American poet. And then we have T.S. Eliot. It is a notable, English poet. Is very famous. So अदर पोइट्स जिन्होंने ड्रामेटिक मोनोलॉग लिखा है, यू कैन name them as Robert Lowell also. So we have Robert Browning, T.S. Eliot, Robert Frost, Ezra Pound, Robert Lowell. All these poets are very notable and they have written dramatic monologue in an effective manner. So in the next point we shall discuss dramatic lyric versus dramatic monologue. Since while studying dramatic monologue, you will come across this confusion that sir, what is the basic difference between dramatic lyric and dramatic monologue? Since these two terms seem similar to each other. So let's talk about it. Dramatic lyric is also a monologue, and keep in mind dramatic monologue is also a monologue. It is uttered in an identifiable situation at a dramatic moment. We are talking about dramatic lyric here, keep in mind. In it, the focus of interest is on the speaker's elaborate argument. I repeat it. The focus of interest in a dramatic lyric is on the speaker's elaborate argument. It means in a dramatic lyric there is argumentation, and the focus of interest, or you can say the writer stresses on the elaborate argument. And dear friends, this is the basic difference. Since in a dramatic monologue the focus of interest is on the character revealed in the course of arguing, or in the course of study, in the course of the development of the poem. So this is the basic difference. And if you talk about examples of dramatic lyric, you can talk about John Donne's The Canonization and The Flea. In these two poems, in these two dramatic lyrics rather I should say, the focus of interest is on argumentation. If you have studied these poems, or if by chance if your area of interest is in the study of English literature, and while pursuing your post graduation, you will surely surprised by the argumentation of John Donne. So it's a different thing, and you will surely come across. You can study these poems as well. Next is William Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey. William Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey is spoken by one person to a silent auditor. Who is a silent auditor? Dorothy, that is sister of William Wordsworth, in a specific situation at a significant moment in his life. But it is not a dramatic monologue. Underline, dear friends, it is not a dramatic monologue. Because there are two reasons. We are invited to identify the speaker with the poet himself. I repeat it. We are invited to identify the speaker with the poet himself. And if you remember, while discussing various features of dramatic monologue, we have explained that the speaker is patently not the poet. I repeat the line. The speaker is patently not the poet. So, in a dramatic monologue, the speaker cannot be the poet. And the second point is the focus of interest in the Tintern Abbey is not the revelation of the speaker's temperament so much as the evolution. Evolution means development of the speaker's observation, memories, and thought towards the resolution of an emotional problem. I am repeating it, dear friends, that the focus of interest in the Tintern Abbey is not the revelation of the speaker's temperament, but what is the focus of interest? Focus of interest is the evolution, that is the development of the speaker's observation, his memories, and his thought, what he thinks towards the resolution of an emotional. So, dear friends, let's talk about we have already discussed your dramatic lyric. So, dear students, last but not the least is some of the terms which are associated with the dramatic monologue, and you may get confused sometime. So, you must know while reading or understanding the dramatic monologue. First of all is monologue. It is a lengthy speech by a single person. It is a lengthy speech by a single person. And next is soliloquy. What is soliloquy? When a character utters a monologue in a play, he expresses his or her private thought, and it is called a soliloquy. So I think everything has become clear to you about dramatic monologue, and now let's move towards free verse. That is our next topic of discussion, free verse. So the question arises, what do you and what do we mean by free verse? Free verse is also known as an open form of poetry. It is also known as vers libre. It is a French term, dear friends. Free verse is a literal translation of the French word term vers libre. It was a movement that originated in France in the 1880s. However, free verse became current in English in the early 20th century. So I think everything has become clear, and now we shall talk about its various features, which you can see in the slide as well. It does not have a regular meter or line length. It has no regular meter. Meter means recurrent units of weak and strong stressed syllables. Stressed syllables. So it is without regular meter and regular line length. It does not follow a proper rhyme scheme. It does not have any set rules. It is thus free from the limitations of regular meter, rhythm, and proper rhyme scheme. Even then, it provides artistic expression, means it fulfills its aim, its goal, its work, its objective. The poet is thus free to give his own shape to a poem. The poet is free to give the shape of his choice to the poem. So these are the point, and it follows the rhythm of natural speech. These are the some of the points are different. Some are related to the freedom, and these are another points which are associated with the free verse. You can divide them into 2 points. Like you can see, I am moving the slide. Let us You can look into these points in a depth manner. These are the points: literal translation, free verse and open form, no regular meter, no regular line length, no rhyme or fixed line, and these are another points. So it follows the rhythm of natural speech. It is not that it is without rhyme. Its rhyme are based on sounds, words, phrases, sentences, and paragraphs. Therefore, free verse eliminates much of the artificiality of poetic expression. Underline it. It eliminates much of the artificiality of poetic expression. And the term is loosely applied to the poetry of Matthew Arnold, William Blake, and Walt Whitman, who experimented with departures from regular meter. Dear friends, in 1855, Walt Whitman startled the literary world with the leaves of grass by using verse lines of varying length. He created rhythmic effects by rise and fall of voice in speech. It is called cadenced units and repetition, balance, variation of words, phrases, clauses, and lines. So it was starting of free verse in America, and it was Walt Whitman. You should remember some of these points. As far as remarkable poets of free verse are concerned, you can see in the slide as well. So remarkable poets such as William Carlos Williams, T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound have written their lyric poetry in free verse. And as far as famous examples of free verse in literature, you can read the poem Leaves of Grass. And another poem, we have A Noiseless Peasant Spider, written by Walt Whitman, who is also famous as the father of free verse English poetry. His image is also available. You can see it in the slide. And you can also read the poem Come Slowly, Eden, written by Emily Dickinson, and who is famous as the mother of American English free verse. And most of the verse in English that is published today is non-metrical. And non-metrical here I mean that is free verse. So dear students, that's all about free verse. And it is a very freestyle poetry. You have to worry nothing about meter, nothing about rhythm, nothing about choice of words, and nothing about your rhyme scheme. You are free to use any rhythm, any rhyme scheme, and you need not worry about the kind of shape that you give to your poems. So, and it is very famous today. And so I exhort you, I suggest you to go through the poems that are prescribed in your syllabus and identify to which poetic term they belong. Since we have discussed almost 3 poetic forms so far, so you can go through these poetic forms, identifying. And in the next lecture we shall talk about how to identify different poetic forms while studying different poems. So tomorrow's lecture, that is my next lecture, is very important. It will have practical aspect. We shall be more practical instead of theoretical, and you must watch these lectures very carefully so that you can have a good idea. So that's all, dear friends. Thank you for watching my video. Stay positive, test negative. Thank you.